Hey, what's good, Smite fans? Welcome back. We got one more match for you today. This might be the banner show as well. Eanix taking on Rival. Very interesting matchup we got.
Absolutely. These are the two teams that could potentially qualify to Valencia. There's only 4 spots for Europe. And these two teams, I got to give it to these two, Dignitas, Energy, and Obey Alliance. I think these are the 5 teams that are in the discussion for those 4 spots.
Absolutely. Eanix sort of representing the old guard, but with a new flavor on it. Obviously not the same team as they once were, taking some chances and some newer players like Faeles on board. But Rival, really the new blood trying to really make it themselves from the ground up.
Yeah, they do a good job in terms of finding victories against better teams, or more established teams rather, splitting against Energy. But then just earlier on, this splitting against Poppies, very uncharacteristic of such a prestigious team now.
Yeah, kind of very strange, honestly. A team that has been relatively consistent, dropping a game to a new team, the Poppies, which we just saw Energy handle with, I don't know if care is the word, but they just handled them. Let's get into picks and bans real quick to see how these teams are going to stack up against each other, if we see any strange picks, or otherwise. That's what I'm looking for.
Rival, they need to figure out a way to bounce back after such a disappointing loss, whereas Eanix, they're too kind of struggling right now, I would say. Obviously, losing to Dignitas, splitting with Obey Alliance was pretty good for them, so they're still in the running.
For sure. I mean, they're absolutely still in there. As far as the math goes, they have about another week or so before they can be eliminated. But today, very, very important. Fafnir and Nemesis banned out by them being Purple and Rival. Eanix on the other side, taking care of the jungler and Geb. I think Geb's kind of curious, so locked in first. Why is Geb banned?
Well, whether or not Callus really likes the Geb is out of the question. I think it's more of the lines that Faeles probably wants to play something super hyper aggressive in the jungle and not really wanting to deal with the disruption that Geb provides between the Cataclysm, the knockup, and then that Geb shield to save somebody's lives.
Well, the Khepri kind of one step forward above the Geb shield. We'll see Callus on the Khepri, and the Ravana likely will be found in the jungle. I like Khepri because Khepri's an interesting character that he's a backline defender, but Callus can still play him hyper-aggressive. Expect a lot of abducts. That's what you see out of Callus' Khepri. Bellona and Jing making Soul feel at home. Tons of basic attackers.
And you were talking about aggression here. We're seeing Ravana and Osiris paired up. This is a strategy that teams have been doing before, where you get these 2 warriors, whether it's Bellona Ravana, Osiris Ravana, and you're trying to control the solo side of the jungle in the early game, strip away the speeds and the blues, and start dominating that side of the map.
Ravana and Osiris, with the Osiris selection, Ravana pretty much guaranteed to be in the jungle. Ram and Kernanos banned out by Eanix, so they've got an eye on vote. And Team Rival, Hunbats and Ganesha, they got an eye on team fight control, not a specific role. Ganesh and Hunbats both do a really good job at making sure the enemy's plans go awry.
That's true. Hunbats obviously spreading the team fight outwards, whereas Ganesha kind of keeps it under control inside the Dharmic pillars, not wanting to be stuck inside that one. Naja and the Terra. Surprising to see Naja here, considering there's not that much mage burst here. Now, Soul does have that burst, but that's not until the later stages of the game. Supernova, that takes a while to get all the damage confirmed.
I'm a huge Naja fan, y'all understand that, and I'm not a fan of this selection with Cherio out of mind. I think just with any other player, Naja coming into what Team Rival have drafted, Ravana, Osiris, very tanky characters. Khepri kind of counteracts the the one-trick pony that is Naja. But it is Cherio. How good is Cherio? Will his Naja kind of topple the fact that Team Rival have a draft built against him? Let's take a look. Game number 1.
Well, it's going to be Faeles playing the Naja. Formerly, Cherio, the jungler, really preferred this god, but despite him leaving this team, the identity remains. The Naja still provides a good enough amount of support. Whether or not you have that mage burst waiting for you underneath, the stun can still set up a little bit of damage.
Yeah, I got egg on my face there. It is Faeles, not the Cherio that we've seen in the past, but Faeles has a strong Naja, so you know what? I'm going to stick to my storyline here, in that the Naja is going to have an uphill battle against this draft, but Faeles is a very good Naja. Is Faeles better at the character than the composition would allow him to be?
Look what's going on. Deathwalker wrapping around underneath. Lawbster gets rooted into place, forced to go to purification beads. Oh, not a good spot.
6 games. This is our 7th game of the afternoon. 6 games. We have watched teams counteract that strategy by creating a virtual dotted line of players. And you push up together as a unit, ensuring that nobody can come around and surprise you. The 7th game, the only game we don't see that strategy, first blood goes to Team Rival for the Okie Doke wraparound. Not a surprise.
Ducky tried to do it first, but he left a little bit too early. He didn't give them that surprise factor, instead just trying to allow his mid-jungle combination to control that side of the map, which they did, but it was actually Rival that allowed that to happen because they had Deathwalker on the opposite side underneath waiting in the dark.
I was actually really surprised to see the players not lined up like we have seen all afternoon. That watching that strategy seems like that's the natural way for the meta to adapt.
It seems that way, right? Because there's so many level 1 plays, and whenever this kind of play happens, the early game just heavily will swing in the First Blood's favor. Already Rival with a pretty comfortable 700 gold and 1,000 experience. Not even 2 minutes into the game here in the duel lane. BigManTingz Funballer just now hitting level 3. Voden Callus doing a good job controlling both the red and the purple, whereas Eanix only getting their purple.
I think this is the last time that we actually see that play successfully done, Anatoly. I think that, I mean, like I said, all the other teams understand how to counteract that. Eanix, I'm sure they understand. They just didn't go about it for whatever reason. But in any event, we just didn't see that. I think they learned, and they're going to be cautious next time. But this time, Lawbster still in trouble. I like the decision of Faeles to go on to Wlfy, bringing iceicebaby back, and both players survived to see another day.
Wlfy, surprisingly enough, not stunning out Lawbster despite his purification beat still being down for 40 more seconds. Could have been that second death that Rival could have used to really start snowballing in their favor, but either way, finding the poke necessary on not just Lawbster, but spreading it out to Faeles gives them more mid lane control.
Exactly, just a nice little shared damage. Vote knocked up, could be in trouble here, already down to about 20%. He'll be able to back off thanks to Callus. We always stress in team fights how important it is to choose a target and find that kill, because one person dying versus 4 people with 20% HP is a very different story. But in the early game, spreading that damage can be very important depending on the scenario, like the one we just watched.
Already hitting level 5 before Lawbster. Wlfy could look to switch to many different targets depending on what he wants to do now. But finally, Lawbster does match the pacing of the experience, will have that supernova available. And I'm looking at these two team compositions here. There's a lot of frontline aggression from Rival, whereas Eanix, they could also look to aggress here, but they don't have the same amount of peeling options compared to Rival.
Yeah, I mean, over here, not so much. As the game goes later and later, I think we'll see more appeal by way of, obviously, Lawbster getting involved. That slows appeal in and of itself. So
because Faeles is going to want to aggress with his sash, right? And then BigManTingz is going to have to rely on his root and his crush to be able to peel the backline. But on the opposite side, there's a good amount of control with Callus obviously having that root pull and just an insane amount of slows from Rival, not to mention the root from iceicebaby.
Team Rival maintaining their position over the enemy jungle. Ducky, I think at this point, just understands he's not going to get a blue buff. He's pushed up all the way. Left side, a little bit different. We're going to see some basics and a little bit of a tussle over here, totally. But how does the Bellona here deal with Deathwalker in the short lane?
Without blue, whether or not you have blue buff, as a Bellona player, you're not relying on this buff anyway. If you get it, that's just an extra plus. The fact is, as long as you're just chilling in the solo lane, all you have to do is farm the wave under the tower, then start making the rotations. Whereas Osiris, if he wants to stay in the lane with this 1 level advantage, that's what Bellona wants here.
Ooh, that's an ultimate right away. On to Colossus. Get the Guardian while he's good and early. Half HP onto the Khepri. Khepri ultimate used onto the Khepri right now. Still looking for the kill. It's popped, and he's surrounded by Eanix members, but here comes iceicebaby. Kala still the target. Excellent route, preventing Faeles from finding it. Over the wall goes Funball, but it's after BigManTingz falls down. Team Rival. Fantastic play.
Support for support. Nice little use there of the ring bounce just to get that movement speed. Whether or not you hit gods or minions, that will augment your movement speed as Naja. And we were talking about why the get ban from Eanix. But then as the draft progressed, Faeles locks in that Naja after the secondary ban phase. And the way Gev works is he takes less damage from crits. But same style of aggression, if you do it onto a support such as Khepri, it's very difficult to lock him down as well if he uses his Scarab Blessing on himself.
Yeah, Eanix had the right idea surround him. He was able to wiggle out on the right side, and Rival just played that fantastically. Kha'Las himself finds the turnaround route, which, I mean, that was that's an 8-2 team fight. 8 going the way of Eanix. They're supposed to win that team fight. Rival just kind of wiggled out of there.
They did a great job even finding the kill in return as well. Funballer barely clipping Kha'Las along the side there. So at the end of the day, it was a 1-for-1. Rivals still have a comfortable lead off of that first blood and the constant invades towards that solo speed buff. We kept talking about in the drafting phase how this Osiris Ravana can get off to a very scary start if they start grouping together in that side of the jungle.
Yeah, they just become this ball of, maybe not death, because it's not burst damage, just this ball of annoyance where they slowly slow you and chip you down, and you just can't go anywhere, and they're not even building Frostbound yet.
It's just like two bouncers saying like, nah, you're gonna wait in line here.
You know what reminds me of? Curling. Where the guys just sort of going down like the thing that slides on the ice.
Yeah, the Olympic curling. Okay.
And then you just have Deathwalker and Ice like. Right now, Team Rival, the third grouping of buffs here on the right side, looking to maintain control of it. iceicebaby has to use his ult to get out of there, stuck in the hole that is the blue buff. Wlfy, where'd he go? Funball makes the rotation from the left side. The beauty that is Jing passive. Eanix takes control of their jungle on the right side, and at 7 minutes will look for their own buffs for the first time all game.
Great rotation out of Funballer, really recognizing the aggression out of Rival. Rotating with that passive, was in the right place at the right time. 5-on-4 advantage for the squad in the order.
I like the play coming out from Funball because that proves that that was a calculated decision to protect the buffs on the right side. Faeles is down about half a level from iceicebaby, and Eanix said, look, we can't allow this to get any more out of control, specifically because you're a Naja, you have one job, damage, etc. So in order to protect the jungle's farm, the jungler position farm rather, Eanix makes a decision. You can tell that it's premeditated because Funball has to back in order to use that passive.
Gold Fury being started by Rival, already less than 25% health. The ultimate being used, and iceicebaby secures it, but it fails. Taking up counts. He's so low though when he lands.
Yeah, I mean it was just a last-ditch effort. He was trying to toss the ring out, go for the Gold Fury. Unfortunately, didn't find it. I still respect the play. You know me, I ask for that every time. This one, I'm not so sure if I asked for that. Lawbster just barely getting out of that one.
Very early Gold Fury from Rival, really respecting the fact that a lot of ultimates was used from Eanix in that last encounter. The Petrify from Vote just for good measure. iceicebaby finding the last hit on that one. And an 8-minute Gold Fury here. Rival have a pretty good 2,500 gold lead.
Yeah, I mean, they're starting this one off pretty nicely. And as we said, Eanix is sort of a standard to beat. Team Rival are the new kids on the block, and they're certainly running it. And despite the unfortunate, uncharacteristic, as you said, split with the Poppies, Team Rival have been fantastic. And them being this high up above Eanix this early on is a nice sight for Rival fans, because I think a lot of people are asking how real is this Rival team, and this set will tell you how real they are.
That's true. There was a lot of teams in general where they show signs of greatness and then sometimes will falter. We always were hesitating enemy back in the beginning of Season 3, right? But then they still showed us what they were truly capable of. And same thing here goes with Rival heading into Season 4. No one really took this team seriously as they were still under the banner of Cyclone GG, but this time around, they're looking pretty solid despite their split against Poppies. You know, it's no easy task to split against Energy, and that's something that they accomplished.
Yeah, I think one of the most telling signs is right now Hazer, he's coach for Obey, which some people call the best team in the world, right? I think it's very telling that Hazer not only was willing to coach this team, but enjoyed coaching this team, brought a lot to this team, and he said from, you know, when a lot of people weren't believers in Cyclone then, Rival now, he said, look, man, the squad's going to be the real deal, and everybody's going to be surprised. And Hazer's an opinion that I hold highly. And, you know, back then, I think a lot of people had some other things to say. Now, he's kind of just sitting there saying, well, I told you so.
These players are serious business. Yeah, Hazer is definitely a good talent scouter, and seeing these 5 members in full effect and taking the opportunity to go with Obey Alliance for the SWC 2017, sticking it out with them, but he didn't leave his boys hanging. He still taught them quite a bit.
And he left them in good hands with Alpha Jackal, but Team Rival right now, coach or not, getting the Portal Demon. Eanix trying to fight into it. There's the Terra ultimate thanks to BMT, but iceicebaby just battling it out with Ducky here. A couple of friends along for the ride, and Eanix trying to fight into Team Rival, but they just can't. The Portal Demon falls down. Team Rival maintain their 3,000 gold lead.
Not only do they get the Portal Demon, but they're still doing a good job winning these small skirmishes despite some of their cooldowns not available to them. Eanix are just too grouped up to allow a lot of AoE damage out of Rival.
Yeah, and just to give the coaches some love, since we're talking about old Hazer, mention Alpha Jackal. The heavy attention to objectives is Wlfy and Alpha Jackal right there for my money. When it comes down to specific timings, those are the types of things that Alpha Jackal really likes to do. He prides himself on having a lot of specific notes and specific game plans, and I think that's where the objective control comes from. So Team Rival absolutely have been one of these teams that embraced the coach role, and now with 2 different coaches proving that, yes, coaches are important, and we see why, but these 5 players also can do a damn good job pushing their buttons.
Because even during Season 3, when they were Cyclone GG, they always had the talent to be able to outbox their potential, get some solo kills here and there. They just could never group up and get the objectives that they really need to. So the time spent learning, whether it was from Hazer or from Alpha Jackal, they've now started to collectively combine their ideas and start progressing with a lot more objective secure.
And that's the key, is they're coming together as a unit, and I think you learn your fundamentals at first. That was, maybe chapter 1 when they were Cyclone. Now Team Rival, they're learning some of the finer points. They always had that individual skill, that individual prowess, and as we turn into sort of chapter 3, what's next, we're seeing this team become that next level unit where, communication, sometimes we'll see plays come out from iceicebaby, and Wlfy already knows what he's going to do, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
And we're going to see a lot of plays out of Deathwalker as he continues to bully Ducky in that solo lane. 2-level lead for this Osiris player, finishing off the Mystical Mail before the Bellona allows him to make plays like this where he has more physical protection, so he's going to take the tower and just prevent him from backing, continuing the power play spike.
Oh, and here comes Ice as well. Going to be a stun unless the jump away is strong, and it will be. Ducky, he loses his ult, he loses his tower, and he loses his lane. Mid lane, different story. Kala's in trouble. Lawbster gets a chunk taken out of him thanks to Wlfy.
I'm surprised that Eanix didn't actually go for the Gulf here with 2 people on the right-hand side. There was only 3 members from a Rival being able to stop that out, but in the mid lane, finding the root is the Terra. Still looking to be aggressive is Deathwalker, missing out on Lord of the Afterlife, but the stun gonna miss out as well.
And Wlfy coming all the way around from the front side, turning into the Terra to tank the tower and dash forward.
I was confused at first. I've never seen a Morrigan go into a support such as Terra before, but it makes a little bit of more sense because that ultimate, Terra's Blessing, so fruitful.
Yeah, that really works out. The ultimate from Terra allows the team to escape. It allows them to be tanky enough and have the ability to dash through the tower, find the root. The team finds the Gold Fury. Totally, coming into this one, I saw Wlfy on the Morrigan, and I said, I'm very curious. Because Wlfy has mages and on her. He can play weird stuff. He's been playing for a long time. I love that. I'm really a big fan of strong Morrigan play, one of the harder gods to play, and Wlfy bringing it to us. 5,000 gold in the lead is Team Rival very early on after that play.
It's all about the awareness here. BigManTingz not fully aware here. Get between a rock and a hard place, but he dashes through one rock, finding the second Nash as a result, allowing him to escape for the moment, but Gold Fury did go the way of Rival, getting a nice substantial gold and experience lead here, continuing the momentum that they built off of with that early first blood and solo side jungle control.
Terra saved right there pretty much, just barely getting out of there. Let's take a look at the items, please. Terra just barely getting out of there in large part due to the bracer. We watched earlier and we highlighted how the Bracer works well against burst compositions. Well, Team Rival not exactly bursty, but BigManTingz absolutely got chunked. Getting 50% of your health back, certainly a good look.
Absolutely, especially with the cooldown reduction that you get from that item. 3 seconds, it doesn't seem like much, but at the end of the day, especially when you use Terra's Blessing, that's a big deal.
I suppose. See, that's the one where I think that you get less effective usage out of it on the Terra. I don't think your cooldowns are short enough to really make use of that, but getting 50% of the health you just lost back in the past 3 seconds or so, yeah. I'll take that one to the bank. Although I'll say the same thing that I said on the O-base, that I would like to see that. I think right now the Bracer is very strong early game, but later on as the game progresses, a team-oriented relic meditation might be nicer to see. We'll see if it comes back to bite him in the butt later on.
And during a lot of these late game encounter team fights, there's always going to be a lot of poke back and forth action. So you might be taking 10% of your life in about 3 seconds.
There's a big burst of life coming out from Deathwalker over the top. Finds a target this time. Vote takes down Ducky. Faeles used the ultimate to get out of jail. Meanwhile, the Portal Demon went down so easily for Team Rival. And I think that's the biggest takeaway, Toli, is this game, I know it's not, but this game looks easy for Team Rival.
Rival with their second Portal Demon, finding 2 Gold Furies earlier on. We were talking about their objective control compared to Season 3 and Season 4, and the way they're playing this game is just the same way that they started off the Spring Split when they defeated out against Energy in the LAN environment 2 times, both at the Gauntlet and then at that Spring Split.
Bot Funball just going for the split push. No, I'm kidding. I never mind the split push when it's in this type of situation. Although man, maybe he could defend this tier 2. Deathwalker gets stunned a little bit, and that will cause some trouble for Team Rival, and it's exactly what we'll see. Eanix successfully defending against the tier 2 tower. Funball back in the lane thanks to that passive one more time. Ring bounce would be good. Faeles, find it, but he's too far back. Oh my goodness.
The stun onto Deathwalker Sash as well, finding the knockup bludgeon is going to help Funballer secure that one. So the tier 2 tower stands for Eanix, and this gives them a nice 5-on-4 power play. Wlfy having to back, he was too low, no one to defend this tier 1. And as a result here, Eanix, surprisingly enough, not wanting to press the issue too far forward, despite Deathwalker still dead for 30 seconds.
I'd like to see them push onto the left tier 1 tower. I think pushing the tier 2 tower would be a little bit greedy. So they were still down about 6,000 at the time, and even now that it's only 4,000, they haven't spent that gold yet, right?
That's
so
true.
They're still technically 6K behind. Go for the safe call here. The tier 1 tower, the wave was pushed up by almost by the tower. If the wave wasn't that pushed up, Tully, I would have said maybe you should go for the tier 2 tower and play it dangerous. But when somebody comes up to you and hands you the tower, gotta take it.
Every time I just see a team composition that has one traditional physical hunter and then whether it's Sol or Kronos in the mid wave, I just realize that these towers are not really an obstacle for that team at all. So as Lawbster is going to get some levels here, trying to finish off that what looks to be a Spear of Desolation, these towers are not going to stand in their way.
That's a big point. That's a big point. Let me ask you your feelings. With the 4 players that were up for Team Rival, what's the percent chance that they get the tier 2 tower there?
About 60 to 75% chance.
Yeah, exactly. It was 100% chance on the left side, I think, which is why Eanix, when you're down, you generally want to go for the safer option, depending on how big the option is. The tier 2 tower, an extra 500 gold, I'll take the 100%.
That's why I like to gamble, Tom. You know me. Gold Fury being started 3rd time in a row for Rival. Nice little blink from Faeles. Finding the stun girdle means go, and 3rd Gold Fury for Rival.
And there goes up Faeles. He'll come right on down. Who's waiting at the bottom? Lawbster taking down Wlfy. Great synergy between the mid lane and the jungler. iceicebaby gets saved by Khepri. Wonderful long-range play out of the support. Eanix lose another objective. They technically win the team fight, taking down the mid laner. It's a 1-for-none going the way of Eanix, and they're going to look for the Fire Giant. Oh, this is big, Toli.
The reason why Eanix actually won this fight, look at their buffs. They have 2 red buffs and 2 purple buffs. No one on Rival had anything in their advantage because Eanix won that last encounter by defending their tier 2 tower. They push the tier 1 mid, steal away the buffs out of Rival while they get the tier 1 on the left, and all of this circle comes in full circle by securing killing that one member around the Gold Fury.
And that's the full circle turning point of the game there, Anatoly.
That's what it looks like. This very well could be the turning point here. Eanix get a Fire Giant at the 20-minute mark, despite them being 5,000 gold behind. All they have to do is get these 3 towers here, and they're even.
Yeah, this Fire Giant, I was not really kidding with that. I had some fun with it, but that is, if Eanix wind up with a W, that's the turning point of the game, 100%. Team Rival lose their mid laner, and they were unable to just react to the right-hand side.
Faeles just did a great job blinking through into the Gold Fury pit, catching Wlfy off guard
in traffic.
Yeah, that's always one of the most difficult things to do as Najan, because not only is that ability difficult to hit, but when there's that many people in front of your face, you're just hoping that you're going to hit the right target.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You blink in and you get Khepri. And then that fight goes nowhere.
Yeah, you're not going to be killing that support.
You hit Khepri for 90, and then he VELs and waddles away. You grab Wlfy, well, Lawbster kills him. And that's a team fight changing ultimate right there. And Faeles just absolutely doing it. What an acquisition. You know, we spent a lot of time looking at the other side of the coin. What does Elevate look like without Faeles? But let's celebrate Faeles for the moment. His position on Eanix, I think it's worked out well for him. I think it's worked out well for Eanix. I have loved this young man's career. I hope it continues going in this direction, and I think he himself can help the veterans of Eanix, and I'm very excited to watch this play out.
It definitely seems like the right move out of Eanix. They post some content every now and then out of their Twitter where they share their communications and how they review replays together and stuff like that. And, you know, they'll trash talk each other every now and then, but it's all in good spirit. Whenever you're this comfortable with each other, whether it's Faeles or otherwise, that's the signs of a very well-established team.
I always bring it back to Mask. When we first saw Mask come into the Pro League, he looked like a shadow of what he is today. Now he's considered a top jungler. And he played on a couple of different teams that he'll tell you he just wasn't comfortable with the culture, the players around him. You put him with Barracuda and Jeff and the guys on LG, all of a sudden he's one of the best. And that you just got to be comfortable. Eanix, losing, but comfortable. Pushing up the right-hand side. Fire Giant is available to them at the moment for a couple of minutes still.
Right side tower, tier 2, wants to be defended by Rival. They have to hold on to this Fire Giant siege for another minute is the duration of their buff.
What's Wlfy's plan?
Ducky wants to be able to lead the charge. Wlfy could easily go into the backline here, but it's going to be iceicebaby engaging first.
Wlfy's on the flank, goes back into Terra. Again, 2 Guardians for Team Rival. That's going to be trouble for Ducky. He grabbed by Khepri, pulled in, and shut down. Number 5 for Team Rival, defending the tier 2 tower against the Fire Giant Eanix.
So much control out of Rival, especially with Wlfy going into the Terra. We talked about the only control that Eanix has is the Terra, but that's an option that Rival has as well. Deathwalker trying to save the tier 2 tower, finding the revive as Khepri for the moment. Funballer having to use that agility away. Lawbster doing a lot of damage, but Faeles caught in no man's land.
Twice that team fight, Khepri gets a kill with an abduct. Sure, it goes to vote NBK or somebody else. Khepri abducts you, and you just die. I love how quickly Team Rival just drop everything and focus Khepri's target. They do that flawlessly. That is a solid team fight squad.
There's just no stopping Rival, it seems, despite not having the Fire Giant. One little small misstep that they did around the Gold Fury, they know how to still hold on for dear life. That tier 2 tower, if that falls, if Rival lose that team fight, lose a few members, lose that tier 2 tower, Eanix are starting to snowball the momentum. And with the respawn timers, they could even potentially get the next Fire Giant on top of it.
A 4,000 or 5,000 gold deficit at 24 minutes with the Fire Giant buff is a tie game. Yay or nay?
Yes, with Eanix getting the Fire Giant but still being behind 4,000 gold, they could have easily tied up this game, but great defense from Rival.
Well, what I'm saying is that Eanix was down the gold, but with the Fire Giant, it's all even.
Pretty much.
So it's not like Team Rival, it's not like Team Rival have this absorbent lead that they can say, oh, that's why they defended correctly. They just outplayed Eanix.
Sure. The thing was, Eanix had the 6-man in terms of the Fire Giant buff, but Rival had that tier 2 tower as their 6-man to help defend a little bit longer.
Well, no extra players by the Gold Fury. Ducky dashes forward, and everybody on Rival dances away. Gold Fury reset. That's a good one for Eanix, but it will be started very quickly by Team Rival. More looking for the fight. Listen, Team Rival have won almost every single team fight this game. Yes, bait out the fight every chance you get. That's what they're going to do.
Funballer backing to base, but this could be a bad timing here because the Gold Fury beats
Jing
started yet again, but it doesn't matter. He's not that close. Terra's Blessing being used, diving the backline.
The steal! The steal! The steal! Faeles takes away the Gold Fury. Finally, an objective goes in the direction of Eanix, but guess what? The team fight still all Rival. Ducky falls down. Vote gets another kill. 4-0 and 2 for the Hunter. 7 in total for Team Rival. And despite the Gold Fury going the way of Eanix, Rival still lead this one 3K.
I wouldn't be surprised though if this time Rival start aggressing towards the right side of the map, looking for some more control, dropping Vision aggressively against Eanix, Deathwalker, and iceicebaby leading the charge here, finding some shots over the walls, but without their hyper carries of Wlfy or Vote here quite yet, they can't press on forward too far.
Yeah, Team Rival have to look for the opposition, look for the positioning of the enemy team.
There they go.
And Deathwalker by himself on Osiris, who Osiris can zone. And that's exactly what he's doing here. BigManTingz trying to sneak his way in there. Fire Giant, 10% HP. Nobody close enough. Fire Giant, scratch that. They are close enough. iceicebaby gets the Fire Giant for Team Rival. And now they got to deal with Eanix, who's trying to steal it away.
Trying to run away. iceicebaby. Wlfy's going to try to find the revive as well. Funballer having to go into the Aegis. Nice little route coming out of BigManTingz. Up and down goes Deathwalker, finding multiple people
Eanix
in a route. But Funballer, he wants to dive.
Eanix is going for the right targets. Funball needs to find it. Needs to leave it. Ducky gets the kill. Finally, Eanix. Ooh, Tolly. Ooh, Tolly.
This is back and forth here, Tom. Losing their life, iceicebaby, but finding the Fire Giant. Very risky call here. We saw Wlfy peel away from the Fire Giant, getting distracted by Faeles around the corner there, but still, luckily enough, finding it.
Yeah, I like this play coming out from Eanix. Just get a little something. Dash forward on to Deathwalker. Faeles takes a chunk. Vote's around the corner.
Faeles is in trouble.
Vote doesn't have the ultimate available. Ooh. Oh, man, he just popped it.
I thought Deathwalker was definitely going to chase that until the end of the world here. Faeles was at 20 to 50% of his health. We're gaining a lot off of that buff here. Did
Vote miss the ult?
I'm not entirely sure here. I wasn't quite in vision of that.
Oh, man. He used it right then and there. I know chat's like spamming. Oh my goodness, cats just can't pay attention. I'll give you
There's a lot of things to pay attention to.
I'll give you a little bit of insight into what was going on. I'm taking a look at the Portal Demon. It's very low. I see the sash in on a Deathwalker, and then the Medusa's coming around the corner, and I look to see if he has the ult up, and I see it's grayed out. He used it right then and there, but I didn't see the impact on Eanix. Rival. Everybody turns around, gets out of there. Nice play. Or a nice play by Eanix to avoid the damage out of Vote's Medusa ultimate, but yeah, I got a little confused there. Sorry, folks.
Rival with a 3,000 gold lead, 4 members of Fire Giant for another 2 minutes. That's plenty of time to get these 3 tier 2 towers, which could extend this 3,000 gold lead to 7,500.
This is so tight here, Tolly. Team Rival with the Fire Giant, iceicebaby, the only one without it. I don't really care. He's Robin.
Yeah, he doesn't need the Fire Giant buff necessarily compared to the other 4. Tier 2 in mid was standing on its last legs, getting caught right underneath of them. But Rival transitioning it towards the left side. That Tier 2 tower, very healthy, but the wave, look at the positioning of this wave. It's closer to the Tier 1 where it used to stand for Eanix, making this push accelerated here, considering the buff is only going to last for another minute and 20 seconds.
Team Rival just playing this absolutely correctly. I think, you know, you're tied here with the Fire Giant. You're put up a little bit. This late in the game, the gold is almost irrelevant. Team Rival playing this one very carefully. You know me. I usually like to throw caution to the wind. I don't mind them being careful this time. Deathwalker and Ice anything but go right to the back line, having to deal with everybody else's Ducky up front. Nobody looking at the tower just yet. There's the abduct and trouble for Ducky. He goes down to the hand of Khepri.
Just too much damage onto Ducky. Faeles though, needs to try to run away. Nice little stunt to buy him some time, but it's Deathwalker that's gonna get revived by Khepri at the last second.
Oh my goodness. Every time I want to give Eanix a round of applause, Team Rival do something just to outplay him. That was a fantastic play by Faeles. Finding the sash, finding the stun, using the sash immunity frames, etc. But Rival just respond in turn by reviving just Khepri. Heads up plays for days coming out from Khepri.
That's trust in your teammates, because that was literally the last, I don't know, 0.25 seconds that you had to revive your solo laner there. Clean pick onto Ducky, and then even cleaner revive onto their own solo laner, Deathwalker.
Those are the plays that I was mentioning before, where after a long time of playing together, you just mentally get each other's synergies. Deathwalker probably called, hey, I need help. Deathwalker absolutely said, I need help. But he trusted in the Khepri to give him the revive when he absolutely needed it. And Khepri trusted in his team to trust in his own play. That type of trust and camaraderie, that's what you get from not making a change after a year. I love this team rival.
And every single time Rival is winning these team fights, Deathwalker is getting stronger and stronger. This Heart of the Urchin here already sitting at 5 out of 10 stacks here. So he's sitting very comfortably with 50 physical and 50 magical protections currently.
And then, of course, the Midgardian mail, an item that we rarely see. But when it is there, it's very important. Lawbster and Funball, the obvious choices. Ducky on the Bellona, you and I affectionately call Bellona half. Right? Half ability, half in hand. And as the game gets later and later, Faeles is an ability-based assassin, but as the game gets later, you will find the Naja hitting those basics, swinging very hard, and the Midgardian's going to stop all of those players in their tracks.
We were talking about the attack speed potential from Eanix between this Jing Soul combination, but you also have to consider the anti-attack speed potential here out of Deathwalker with that Morrigan mail. It's going to work out in a lot of these team fights. Not to mention here, the Ankh pickup from Deathwalker is going to help out as well.
So why don't we see obviously there's an attention to the attack speed. What happened to Winged Blade?
Wingblade
or Witchblade, excuse me.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Witchblade does give you that anti-attack speed aura, but you have to be really, really close. It doesn't give you the sort of protections you need. It gives you a little bit of health, but protections goes a long way with the health that Morrigan mail already provides you.
All right, so a little bit more tanky with the other options. BigManTingz is going to get grabbed, and there's trouble for Khepri on the backside. Eanix finally finds a target and goes for it, but Ducky, he's a target himself. Wlfy gets the credit for that kill. Khepri has to be careful on the backline, but finds the target anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've taken anything away from my commentary, it's that these are targeted, precise attacks that Team Rival are executing here. BigManTingz and Ducky fall down. That gives the Portal Demon to Team Rival and likely the big guy themselves.
5-on-3 for Rival for 30 seconds. Without the frontliners of Terra or Bellona for Eanix, this is going to be extremely difficult. So not even wanting to try to contest this. Their only potential to steal is a Stellar Burst coming out of Lawbster. And if you're in range to use a Stellar Burst, you're in range of Rival to peel off the Fire Giant and just slaughter you.
Yeah, we saw earlier on Faeles giving it a shot on the Naja. Naja not exactly equipped to steal objectives. You throw the ring and cross your fingers, right? Unfortunately for Faeles, he did not wind up successful there on the Gold Fury. And Team Rival pick up the Fire Giant uncontested and a tier 2 for their troubles as well. Just over a half hour into this match, folks. 15 kills. And Team Rival own 2/3 of them, up about 10,000 gold to Eanix.
And I wanted to harp on this relic selection from Deathwalker, going for this Cursed Ankh here. Despite Lord of the Afterlife giving you 100% anti-healing, you're not going to hit the whole team with that one ability unless you know, you just won the lottery but get that kind of same luck. But either way, the Cursed Ankh has enough range to affect everybody on the enemy team, giving that 50% anti-healing, and there's a lot of self-healing here from Eanix. Looking at Ducky with the Scourge, Lawbster once he procs his first ability, and then BigManTingz, the Monolith here, and the Terra's Blessing, all going to get mitigated by this one relic.
Also the Bracer, right? I mean, we spoke about how effective the Bracer is at really counteracting large amounts of damage, and you're going to cut that 50% healing down even more so. So, kind of interesting choice.
Second Fire Giant for Arrival this time around. Another 2.5 minutes as they're starting to siege down this left side duo lane. No more towers remain for Rival. For Eanix, rather, as they're going to continue to put pressure, and it's going to be very difficult for Eanix to try to hold this one.
Watch when Khepri pops to Frenzy. I love how this works out. Collis finds a target, abducts, and then when he's sure that his team can kill them, he just goes for it. If not, he'll use it later on. But keep an eye for that specific target. Eanix getting aggressed on. There's the frenzy. That means it's all about the team fight going forward. Half HP on the Phoenix so far. BigManTingz doing his best and actually a decent job at tanking it out. Ducky on the backside as well. Eanix just barely let the Phoenix go down, but that was a good defensive start.
It was a great engage as well from Rival. They popped that girdle. They also used the ultimate from Wlfy to go on to Terra yet again. This has been a consistent strategy out of Wlfy and Rival, and it's been working out for them because they have the control and they have the sustain, the cooldowns on top of this, allowing them to just siege that Phoenix effortlessly. They don't get a kill necessarily, but they don't lose any members, allowing them to continue the siege.
That went a lot better for Eanix than it has in the past because they didn't allow themselves to get abducted by Team Rival's support. They stayed away from it, which is why we saw the frenzy activation in the team fight. And now Ducky, oh, he could be in trouble. The Thorns makes everybody walk away. And Eanix don't have the same tools as they had on the first Phoenix, so that one goes easily to Rival.
Rival did, yet again, not finding a kill, but they're winning the team fight in the health department. 2 members so low from Eanix that they have to retreat. Fire Giant only for 45 more seconds on Rival, so they're gonna count their blessings here as they found 2 Phoenixes, and they're gonna reset for now. They have a very commanding 13,000 gold lead, about to finish off all 6 slots.
And that's gonna just make them so tough to tussle with. The guys on Eanix, you can see a couple of empty slots still available. Lawbster needs to finish an item. Deathwalker Ducky needs about 2 as well, still having his early game starter item, bridge item on the Mark of the Vanguard. But in any event, Team Rival poised to make their final push here, Toli.
It's going to be a very dominant push as well because of this lead that they got for themselves this whole entire game. Getting 4 Gold Furies, numerous amount of Portal Demons, their second Fire Giant as well. Only having that one little slip up there around that 23-minute mark when they just tried to siege that Tier 2 tower for a little too long.
Right, and this is a team that adjusts on the fly. They understand, all right, that went awry because of XYZ, let's go ahead and change it. And I think that's a big credit to having somebody like Collis around who does occupy that player coach mentality that we see most notably out of players like Polar Bear Mike, but I think somebody alluded to it earlier with Zeros as well for his team. These guys that sort of have a zoomed out perspective. Collis, very tactical minded, and I think you can see it in the way his team plays.
And this is such an important set for both of these 2 teams. Eanix, this is their 5th set thus far in the split. This is the 4th for Rival, and already Rival sitting with 5 points, Eanix at 4. This is a Valencia match, pretty much. This could easily allow Rival to separate the gap even further out of Eanix if they find this game with the lead, and then if they can secure the next one, the chances for Eanix to make it just diminish greatly.
Eanix right now trying to just push up the waves of minions, so they don't have Fire Giant minions barking at them while Team Rival is also heading into their base. That's at least the idea, but with 2 waves of fire minions, it's easier said than done. Team Rival going to focus on the right side, the only Phoenix available still. So Rival grouped up, Fire Giant in hand, ready to go.
Still heading into the 39-minute mark, the last and final Phoenix standing for Eanix. Needs to be aggressed on by Rival if they want to close out this game. Now, despite having such a commanding lead, they could honestly just go down the mid wave if they wanted to, but Rival, they know what's at stake here. They're going to cross everything off the checklist before they get to that last and final boss in the Titan.
And this is Eanix. Eanix is a very strong team, like we said. A lot of players think that this team is one of the best. So Team Rival playing it safe here. Eanix bringing the fight to Rival. There's the frenzy out of the red squad looking for the fight and the kills. Phoenix still alive. Now there's going to be Faeles getting damage and staying relatively safe himself. That's trouble though. Big damage onto Eanix from Team Rival. They push everybody out and Rival look for the Firebird. Everything exposed.
Stalled for as long as they possibly could, but finally the 3rd Phoenix does fall. Left respawned, but got taken out by those fire minions. Middle will respawn as well, and this is looking like it's going to be the final push for Rival if they could just find some picks.
That's what they're trying to do. They want to find the opportunity that's correct. You don't just want to walk in and kind of just press W at the opponent. So where do they go for it? They take the Phoenix down for the second time here in the mid lane, and Eanix is going to bring the fight to Team Rival.
They're just baiting them out of position here. They want to take the fight outside the Titan room. Great smart tactic out of Rival. Still having the Fire Giant buff for another 2 minutes. Ducky taking a lot of poke, and there's no commitment here from Rival. They're just trying to find any picks that Eanix will hand out to them.
Yeah, just going for it nice and easy, and Eanix not allowing Rival to really get away with anything for free. They understand that fighting in their throne room, or this area right here, the Phoenix area, is probably the best spot to really fight in Smite. Rival trying to bring the players out of that area. Eanix not willing to go past the gates.
As long as the Titan isn't taking damage, Eanix is still in the game, and that's the whole goal in their mindset, to try to take the fight outside that Titan room.
Exactly.
Despite not being close enough to the fountain to bounce in and out for that healing, it's still not a bad idea, because your Titan will melt here. 5 members with Fire Giant here out of Rival. They could just hard commit to that if they really wanted to.
That's the plan. Team Rival are just going to go all for it.
They're waiting. I think they might be waiting for some relics. A girdle in about 5 seconds for Callus.
Yeah, when that girdle comes up, totally, Rival are just going to hard commit to either mid or right lane. Wlfy might just go invisible. Girdle is up. Frenzy's up.
Aegis isn't up, though, for a vote for another 10 seconds. That could be the factor.
Yeah, I think that might be it. Team
They
Rival
want everything aligned here. They want the stars to be perfectly aligned as they head down this Titan room.
2, 1. The call is for engage. Rival goes in. Frenzy is popped. Order Titan already down to half HP. We'll see you later. Team Rival get the win. 41.5, 10-5.
Clean game out of Rival. You know, they had that one small shakeup under that tier 2 mid tower, but they brought it back. Despite losing that Fire Giant, they found 3 of their own, closing this first game of the set out.
Oh man, I'm all disheveled. What a great game. Honestly, real talk, like, that's just good Smite. Neither team really, like, Eanix had a horse in the race the entire game. Rival just got the better of them in that one. I'm excited we get a game 2.
Honestly, yeah, this has been the best set so far we've seen today. Eanix, they kind of got caught by surprise here from that flank from Deathwalker at the beginning of the game. It was a very similar strategy that Ducky wanted to do, just to allow his jungle mid that pressure that they wanted to get in that mid, but that fell into the hands out of Rival strategy.
Yeah, Rival played this game as a team. Which is, I think, really indicative of what Rival are about. We used to say the same about an Energy, where they just win games as a team, although they kind of have that one go-to star. I think that go-to star might be Deathwalker, but Vote is the guy that wound up with all the kills this time around. Playing the Medusa is a character that he's really always enjoyed, winding up very, very high on that kill chart. And here he is over here. There's that ultimate that I was asking about. Yeah. And he does hit a number of different players. They're just turned around. There you go.
He hit Ducky. He got the kill on the Portal Demon, the last hit. And this hold from Rival, this was a Fire Giant squad out of Eanix. And more importantly than Vote doing the damage here was also Wlfy turning into Terra during this team fight, finding the control and the sustain that they really needed out of him.
Just watch Vote. He's doing something, and then as soon as somebody gets grabbed by Callus, he completely turns.
Another dash.
Yeah, just completely. So much fun to watch that, the target selection. He was firing at somebody else, and then as soon as Callus grabs him, swap. Hot swap. Always fun.
And it makes sense, too, because you're finding one dash here from Callus on the Khepri, and then the Lacerate here, the dash out of the Medusa, finds that 50% anti-healing here to make that target easier to take down.